Hi, welcome to another program. I haven't been here for 2 weeks almost due to my personal agenda, and also there were some repairs in the house. So really, I haven't had the opportunity to take some videos for you. But now I am available and I am going to do so. So what I'm going to talk this week is about Turkey's military operation in the northern Syria, what's going on between Turkey and the United States, and even Russia and Syria. There is something changing. Turkey is now putting pressure on all sides, and at the moment it seems like we have taken what we had, or President Erdogan have considered, but it's really like that. Why America have agreed withdrawing from the northern Syria. Now we want to discuss all these things, because all these things are really putting some lights to the future, and I would like to discuss these things with you. So let's start. Now, as you know, 2 weeks ago Turkey has started a military operation in the northern Syria. And the main purpose is to purge the terrorist groups. PKK and YPG, recognized as a terrorist groups by Turkey, but recognized as Syrian Democratic Forces by United States, which help United States to defeat ISIS in the northern or all Syria. Now, as we know, or let me remind you, but since December 2017, ISIS has started losing territorial control in Syria and also in northern Syria, and as of today they have almost lost all the control, and they have been their effect or their activities have been minimized. So after this point, the United States have already realized that really there is no more progress that they can take as militarily. Therefore, they were looking for a way to withdraw from the region, and at that moment Turkey has decided that all right, it's not only what the United States wants to do, because we were aware, and almost everybody was aware that, because President Trump always says that they want to withdraw from the region, but also the United States wants to withdraw from the region, not only because of the I'd say military cost or the operation cost, but also the United States considers China as a main opponent, and they want to concentrate on that, and they want to transfer all these forces not only from Syria or Iraq, but from Afghanistan, where they are going to closely or shortly reach a deal with Taliban, and they want to concentrate on, I would say, China. So Turkey was aware of all these facts, and then Turkey put the pressure on the United States, saying that, look, I'm going to go in territory and I'm going to purge all these terrorists from the region. I'm going to create a buffer zone, a safe buffer zone, so where I'm going to accommodate 1 to 2 million Syrians here, so they will not be coming into Europe or to mainland Turkey, so that I can keep them here, and then I'm going to start establishing some, let's say, I would say, accommodations, houses, jobs, works, and these kind of things, in order to minimize the terrorist recruitment, as well as to lead or to give some hopes and encouragement to especially to the youth. So, and in that regard, if there will be a clash, a military clash, or a fire exchange between the US soldiers and Turkish soldiers, don't come and blame me. So United States thinks that it will be a real major blow up in the NATO as a partners, and said, okay, I'm going to withdraw. But after a couple of days, United States, I mean last week, they were in Ankara meeting with President Erdogan, asking for a 5-day stopping the fires, and then they want to withdraw their also military forces, including I believe some of the I would say the Syrian Democratic Forces, which we consider as PKK and YPG. So is it good for Turkey? If you are thinking that territorial gain will be established and set and granted, then it's a good thing. But why Turkey is really letting these terrorists to escape while they have been circled by the Turkish forces, it's a question mark. I am only thinking that United States have really meant to apply sanctions to Turkey in terms of economy, or economic sanctions, which the Ankara government has considered that as bad thing, while we are having a military operation in, I would say, in the northern Syria. And that's what I'm thinking in that regard. So Turkey was aware that the United States is focusing on China, Turkey was aware that they want to leave the area, so it was the best time, since the ISIS also effect has been minimized, before the PKK and the YPG will evolve to a much more serious problem to Turkey. So is it going to stop here? I think not. Even though the United States might seem withdrawing from the region, the PKK and the YPG problem now is going to be under the responsibility of Syria. We are hearing that PKK and YPG forces or leaders are now discussing some kind of truce with the Syrian authorities so they can be protected by Syria. So one thing now, Syrians and I would say Russians should not forget that we have been very serious, or Turkey has been very serious with the Americans. And why it's going to not be serious with Russians or Syrians is a question mark. So in that regard, I see that Americans are taking the baby and giving it to Russia and to Syrian government now and says bye-bye. And now what's going to happen is that Assad is going to use these forces either today or tomorrow, but they are going to use all these terrorist forces because they have been trained, they have also the ammunitions and ability, so why not Assad is using such forces against Turkey. So it will be used, and once it's going to be used, it will put Turkey more and more considering to go into the depth of Syria. Either you want or not, it's going to happen. So what's going to be consequences on the Russian and Turkish relations? It will be a serious tension. Why? Because Russians are going to be pushed to or will be purged to consider either they are going to support Syria or Turkey. I think Foreign Minister Lazarov have already thought about this. That's why from the first day of the launching the military operation, he has come to the table and said, look, let me talk with both of them. I want to make them sit around the table and we can reach a deal. Because he knows that in the future, Russia will be forced to, align with one side. And Turkey is not going to accept either this or that, and it's something in the middle. Turkey will say to Russia, look, it's either you are with me or without me, or you are across me. That's the thing, because Turkey will say that I said the same to Americans. Why I'm going to not say the same to you? So Russians will be forced to choose a side, either Turkey or Syria. And for Russia, this means what is most important? Is it the security of the Black Sea, which means the Crimea and the Ukraine, or is it the interest in the Middle East, which is the Mediterranean Sea? Because unless you have Crimea and Ukraine, you might have the opportunity to have more interest and influence in the Middle East. So that's why I'm considering that Russia then will be purged out of the region at all. Somehow it should be like that. Or we'll come to an agreement with Turkey that they can remain as a military force in the region, but they will stop assisting Assad regime to most levels, which means that we might have another problem with Iran, but Iran has already a lot of problems with the United States at the moment. They have high inflation, US dollars against the Iranian currency. It's a big now difference, and the economy is going down. There is a lot of unrest in the Iran. So Iran has really big problems. So considering all these facts, what we see about this military operation, yes, indeed it has happened. It might happen even more in the future. Why? I think it's a very strong foothold for Turkey, and this is a very high area, so they can put more forces. If Assad will do something wrong against Turkey, they can even purge more into the depth of the Syria. You might think that this is like an invasion, but it is not an invasion, I would say, at this moment. And the main reason is that really Turkey's first attention or focus is on the terrorists. Turkey needs to purge all these terrorists out of the area. Otherwise, the tourists cannot be feeling secure at home. If the Americans are there, if the French and other companies or other countries' soldiers are there in the region in order to make their people safe, kilometers away from Syria, we have we are neighborhood to Syrians. We have almost 9 or 1,000, let's say, kilometer border with Syria. We are going to be there. There is no debate about it. Therefore, if let's say Assad will still align with these PKK and YPG forces, because they might bring him some kind of ammunition and also trained manpower. Yeah, it's going to push, I believe, Russia. So I believe Russians might consider this already, what Assad might think of. And I'm sure that they are now trying to ease Assad not to do something wrong against Turks, at least at this moment. So they want to really reduce the tension at this moment. But in my experience, Russia will fail to do that. So that's why they are going to, they will be forced to choose a side. And while this is happening, these are the our I would say remarks that we wanted to have with you. We think that it will be more and more in future that the Turkish military operations will go into the depth of the Syria, because Assad will use these PKK and YPG forces against Turkish and Turkey's interest, and then Turkey will be forced, go into the depth. The biggest problem, I believe, in that regard will be between Turkey and Iran. But as I said, since Iran has a lot of problems, I don't know how much they can push it. So for future, there will be a problem for Syria if they are going to really support these PKK and YPG things. The other thing that the Turks should consider is about Iraq. As you know, for the last week or since October, let's say, at least, there have been many protests in Iraq. And the latest ones have been really pushed or put down by the government, really ruthless. And this is not really like, another country are coming to Iraq and really play with all these fragile instruments. No, really there is no job for the youth, and the corruption is very high. All these turnovers or income of the country is really going to the pockets of the governments, from top down to, like from prime minister level to all these ministers, other directors, and so on and so forth. So now people are really fed up with this. Even with the popular mobilized forces, they are fed up with them too, because a lot of privileges are given them and they are using it freely. So really, people are coming or annoying with these conditions. That's why they are protesting, even if there is blood now in the streets. And this is not going to stop. This is going to increase more and more and more. And once these kind of things are increasing, you should always remember that it will weaken the government. So already Iraq is a fragile country. The government is very weak, and that's why Turkey has to consider all these things, how it might affect. As we know, PKK and YPG used the opportunity in the Syrian, or especially northern Syrian, in order to create a buffer. And the latest intention is to set up a state. And the same thing even might happen in the northern Iraq, and Turkey should be ready, if necessary, to go in and make, I would say, a safe buffer zone, not to let a terrorist state being our neighborhood in future. So, and this really is a great risk, but it might happen, because now all the conditions are getting to that point, the environment is getting to that point that PKK and YPG in Iraq might use this opportunity to take the advantage. And if this happens, I am sure that Ankara will not is not going to hesitate what is going to take place. Thanks for watching the video. I would appreciate if you get subscribed to our channel, and it means that you are going to hear and watch our videos at first once we publish a new one. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.